I wonder how many people have seen this. Welcome back to Honest News. I wonder how many people have seen this. How many of God's people have really seen this? Israel group mints Trump's face on coin following U.S. Embassy move to Jerusalem. I wonder how many people have seen this. That's Cyrus in the back there. Do you see that? That's Cyrus. And Donald Trump is in front of Cyrus or over Cyrus. Like he's the new like he's the new Cyrus, right? So isn't it interesting how they are correlating the embassy being moved to Jerusalem with the beginning process of the rebuilding of the temple? And 70 is a symbolic number as well. 70, we see in the book of Daniel, 70 is a very important number to them. Of course, they're using it wrongly, right? They're fulfilling a prophecy that is meant to be fulfilled, which is a Masonic prophecy. They're talking about something that the Freemasons, and this has to do with Solomon and the rebuilding of the temple, which we know that Satan will sit in, showing himself that he's God. But isn't it interesting how that this is happening so quickly? This is actually being considered the temple coin. Anybody listening out there? The temple coin. Now, this is not a governmental organization, but who's to say that the government's not involved in it? Right? An Israel non-governmental organization announced Friday it will feature President Trump's face on a symbolic coin that celebrates the Middle Eastern country's 70th anniversary of independence in honor of the U.S. Embassy's move from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem this month. I just wanted to bring this to our attention because I don't think that this is not by chance. I really believe that this is part of this Freemasonic secret society where they believe that the Temple of Solomon must be rebuilt. President Trump is starting a prophetic process by moving the American embassy to Jerusalem. Just like King Cyrus 2,500 years ago said, he charged me to build a house in Jerusalem. Here again, President Trump is building a house in Jerusalem. That's what the Rabbi Mordecai is saying. Are you listening, folks? It says here that Donald Trump is building a house in Jerusalem. Now listen, one of the front side of the coin, on the front side of the coin, Trump's images will be set next to the King Cyrus, a king from the Bible who permitted the Jews to return to Jerusalem after being exiled to Babylonia. The U.S. government crest and that of the Persian temple are also on the front side of the coin. The back shows a dove with an olive branch in its mouth as it flies over a temple. The coin will be sold in a gold-plated version as well as a pewter one plated in silver for the equivalents of $72 and $49 respectively. The collector's items are not official Israeli currency, only 1,000 half-shekel coins have been minted. This special coin was produced and minted for the 70 years of independence of the state of Israel, and to honor and praise President Donald Trump, who promised, but not only promised, also fulfilled his promise, and next week will move the American embassy to Jerusalem, the rabbi added. Trump announced in December he would move the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem. The move had been projected to take years. Did you hear that? It's going to take years to do this, but is happening this month. Tell me things are not being speeded up, folks. Trump said he saved U.S. taxpayers nearly $1 billion and sped up the process by renovating an existing building instead of buying Israel and building a new facility. Interesting. Now, does anybody know that Donald Trump, over 25 years ago, was photo-oped with a dove in his hands? Does anybody know about this? Look at this, folks. That was about 25 years ago, okay? Trump has a dove in his hands, and during this photo op, his own words are that he thinks he can bring peace in the Middle East. Okay, now go forward 25 years where we are today and see what's going on. Think about this. The bankers that own Donald Trump, that he was indebted to, Goldman Sachs owns this man. And he is following their lead in rebuilding the temple. Jerusalem, folks, the city that the Bible in the book of Revelation calls Sodom and Egypt, where they're going to rebuild the temple, offer sacrifices, where Satan is going to sit in the temple, showing himself that he's God, calling fire down from heaven. Remember Solomon, after he ended his prayer, he said, fire came down from heaven after he finished his prayer, after he dedicated the temple. How many know that wicked, the beast, is going to call fire down from heaven? Are you listening? In the sight of men, he's going to call fire down. I'm not saying Donald Trump is this person. I'm not saying he's not. He's the person that Satan's going to incarnate. I'm not saying that. Don't go out of here saying that. What I'm telling you is Trump is working with the same organization that's bringing this about, that's building this temple for the devil, the synagogue of Satan. Are you listening, folks? So Donald Trump is the negotiator, going to negotiate peace in the Middle East. He's also a builder, right? Folks, I want you to understand what's going on here. They're laying the foundation. They're laying the groundwork for the temple. This Masonic secret order that they are rebuilding this temple of Solomon. And when Solomon finished his prayer, and part of his prayer, by the way, was this prayer that Pence, at the end of his speech to the evangelicals, ended his speech with. If my people, which are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray. But did you know that Pence left out the part about if my people will turn from their wicked ways? He left that out. He read it all except that part. Isn't that interesting? And this is the prayer that Solomon prayed before the fire came down. And we know that beast is going to call fire down in the sight of men. This is all the prelude to that man of sin, that wicked, sitting in the temple, showing himself that he's God. We're closer now, people, than we've ever been to where the beast is going to come down onto the earth, where the devil, that Satan is going to come down onto the earth, having great wrath. That tells me that the bride of Christ is going to be taken very soon. The church will be still here on the earth when the devil comes down having great wrath. And he'll persecute the church. I was just watching a video here. I'm going to see if I can bring it up for you, where Pence is saying this. Let me go in here and show you, folks. Give me one moment and I will show you this. Hallelujah. I'm going to go to a blank screen for a second here, and I'm going to show this to you because I'm in my own account right now on YouTube. So when I bring the video up, I'll bring the screen back to you. Hallelujah. So let's go to where Pence is saying this prayer and leaves out the part about the wicked ways. The wicked ways are left out conveniently. But this is the prayer that Solomon prayed. You can't tell me that, you cannot tell me, folks, that Pence is not a Freemason. You can't tell me that he's not of the Illuminati, that he's not a Zionist. You can't tell me that. So, give me one moment. Trying to bring it up here. This is it right here. So here he is speaking to the Gentile people. He's speaking to the Gentile people here, right? He's speaking to the evangelicals. Listen to what he says.
Here in Israel, in Europe, and across the world to join us in this cause. Let's work together to restore the rich splendor of religious diversity across the Middle East so that all faiths may once again flourish in the lands where they were born. As we work to defeat the scourge of terrorism and give aid to those who have suffered at its hands, we must also be resolved and vigilant to prevent old adversaries from gaining any new ground.
I apologize, folks. Wrong video. This is where he was actually at the embassy, at the, what do you call it there? Where they went to the new embassy and everything. That's not the video I wanted you to see. This is the one I want you to see. It's just a short, it's only 4 minutes and 50 seconds, but I want you to watch this.
Greetings, I'm Governor Mike Pence. You know, it's my honor this year to serve as the Republican nominee for Vice President of the United States with my running mate, Donald Trump. I'm grateful to be able to join you, if only by videotape, but I'm not sure how they introduce me. The introduction I prefer is pretty short. I'm a Christian, a conservative, and a Republican in that order. And really, it's as a fellow believer that I'm particularly honored to be able to address you today. I know every one of us has our own story about how we came to faith. For me, I was raised in a family where faith was important. Church on Sunday, grace before dinner. But my faith became my own when I made a personal decision to trust Jesus Christ during the spring of my freshman year in college. That night, my heart was literally broken wide, with gratitude and with joy, when I came to realize that what happened on the cross, in some small measure, actually happened for me. And I know all of you in the room share that same passion and that same sense of gratitude for what was done on our behalf. Years later, my faith has been tested, relied on more times than I could possibly count. All I know for sure today is I need him more than ever. And he's really the center of my life and the center of my family's life. You know, God's love really eclipses our failings, and as always, he's been a source of renewal and strengthening for this nation and for people of faith throughout our history. In these troubled times, I believe we stand at a turning point, when those who cherish faith, those who cherish freedom, those who cherish the sanctity of life and all the liberties enshrined in our Constitution should step forward and heed the call to action. I joined Donald Trump on the Republican ticket because I believe he has the right leadership and the right vision to make America great again. President Donald Trump will appoint justices to the Supreme Court who will uphold our Constitution and the rights of the unborn. Donald Trump will also sign into law legislation that will free up the voices of faith all across this country by repealing what's come to be known as the Johnson Amendment. The Johnson Amendment's literally been on the books since the 1950s, and it essentially threatens tax-exempt organizations and churches with losing their tax status if they speak out on important issues facing the nation from the pulpit. Donald Trump and I are both committed to work with renewed Republican majorities in the House and the Senate to repeal the Johnson Amendment once and for all. You know, the truth is that a careful study of American history has shown that the strength of our nation has come from our communities of faith. Throughout our history, it's been the voices of faith that more often than not have driven our nation to a more perfect union. It was the pulpits around the American founding that thundered against the tyranny of King George. It was the pulpits around America that spoke of the evils of slavery and brought an end to the scourge of slavery in America, even through a great civil conflict. And it was voices of faith and communities of faith that transformed our nation through the civil rights movement in our own lifetime, and we're a better nation for it. The choice today for all of us, though, could not be more clear. I've never seen a more dramatic choice in a national election in my lifetime. I truly do believe we're come to a time for choosing. And I think it's a time in the life of our nation when people who cherish life, when people who cherish our liberties, when people who cherish the great traditions that are enshrined in our Constitution should come together and support Donald Trump and our agenda to make America great again. In these troubled times at home and abroad, challenging times for American families, I'd like to encourage you to do one more thing, and that is to bow the head and bend the knee in the days that remain in this election. Pray for our country. But as you do so, please pray as Lincoln said was his prayer. Not so much that God would be on our side, but that we would be, in his words, on God's side. Because I truly do believe in my heart of hearts that what's been true for millennia is still true today. That if his people, who are called by his name, will humble themselves and pray, he'll again do as he's always done throughout the storied history of this nation. He'll hear from heaven, and he'll heal our land, this one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address you today. May God bless you, your families, this community of faith, your church, and may God continue to bless the United States of America.
So you can see that he left out that part, turn from their wicked ways. Okay? Turn from their wicked ways. Why would he leave that out? He read every other part of that verse, and he left that out. He had time, obviously, to add it. Was it too harsh? Was it too real? Was it too serious? Why would he leave that out? Because he's not a true Christian. He's an evangelical, which is a Christian, quote-unquote Christian, that bows to the Pope, that kisses the Pope's ring. He is a sellout. He's a Jesuit. And he is part of the Freemasons to rebuild the temple. And that's what's going on right now. That's why he's quoting this prayer. This was the prayer of Solomon. Folks, we are getting closer to where that wicked is going to sit in the temple, calling down fire in the sight of men. That's right. Dedicating the temple. The fire falling once again, but it won't be God's fire. It won't be the glory of the Lord filling the temple, where ministers won't be able to minister before God. It'll be Satan, the power of darkness, folks. And that fire will be the fire of the devil. It won't be the fire of God. You've been warned.